Greetings. My name is Rich Frazee. I'm a member of ADEIL, the Association for Distance Education and Independent Learning. I'm here today with Dr. Joshua Eyler, author of How Humans Learn, the Science and Stories Behind Effective College Teaching, which we've been reading in the ADEIL book discussion. Today, we'll be concluding our interview series with some discussions on roles, disciplines, and also future endeavors. Thanks for joining us, Josh.
Thank you.
Yeah. Now, you recently accepted a position at the University of Mississippi. Tell us about your new role and what excites you about it.
Sure, definitely. Yes, so in some ways I'm doing the same kind of teaching and learning work I've done elsewhere in my career, but here the responsibilities are also, they're additional ones and a little bit different as well. So I'm Director of Faculty Development, which is the same kind of pedagogical development, teaching and learning workshops that you find in most centers for teaching and learning. But I'm also director of our quality enhancement plan, which is an accreditation requirement for our region. But here we're focusing on developing critical thinking skills within the Gen Ed program, the lower division courses. And that's one of the things that really excited me about the position, because that, critical thinking is one of the great unsolved problems of education. And so I was intrigued not only that they had chosen that as a topic, but that they really decided to focus on Gen Ed, the first and second year, the lower division courses. That's a unique puzzle, and it was one that I was really excited about working with, especially because that topic, critical thinking, in those years are exactly the ones that Academically Adrift, the book from 2010, pinpointed as saying students in America don't learn anything. They looked at exactly that period of time and exactly that topic. So I think they're wrong about that. And it's one of the challenges that brought me here, is to really demonstrate what I think students absolutely do learn in their courses. And so putting the programming together for that has been a lot of fun. And I'm also a part of the Department of Writing and Rhetoric here as well.
Nice. Now, you have a section entitled Crossing Disciplines and How Humans Learn, where you know that you draw on psychology, neuroscience, and evolutionary biology. Now, did your interdisciplinary research for how humans learn significantly change your views on effective education? And were there any results that you found particularly surprising and or unsettling?
Sure. Well, as I've mentioned a few times, my training is in the humanities.
Yeah.
So I had to learn a lot for this. The book stems from my move into the world of teaching and learning, and coming up against a question that kept popping up for me, which was, why do some things work and others don't? What is it about the way we learn that makes some things work and others not? And so I had to learn a ton. These are things I hadn't studied before. And so tried to train myself in the methodologies of reading the papers, worked closely with a lot of scientist friends in those various disciplines to help kind of guide me when I was off course, or and point me in other directions to go. So that it was important to me that scientists would find what I was saying credible. They didn't have to necessarily agree with me, but they would at least acknowledge that it was credible. So having said that, yes, I definitely learned. A lot of this opened my eyes in very new ways to the world of teaching and learning. Everything from the evolutionary approach to the development of curiosity, for example, and how foundational that is for our understanding of the world, to the study of emotion. I would say, to answer your final question there, what was the most surprising thing, or what surprised me most? It was really not just how many people are studying the role of emotion in learning, but how powerful the evidence really is, that if you can prime a student's positive emotions, they will learn more, quite simply. And I use this quote from Nell Noddings, who's a philosopher of education, that in all of her years, she has found that happy students learn best. And that's true. And it's not just true because we feel that it's true. It's true because people are showing that it's true. And that was something that I had always intuited, but it was really wonderful and eye-opening to me to see the kind of research that's being done on it. I would say in general, the whole process was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot. In some ways, I'm sort of in the position of a student new to a discipline, and so the learning that happened as I was writing it, I really valued that a lot about the process.
Two more related questions, kind of related to that, and some of you touched a little bit about that. So many scholars stay within a single discipline for all of their career. You've chosen a different path. How Humans Learn is not in the medieval studies section of the library. So just a little bit more as far as that. What are some more challenges, rewards of interdisciplinary scholarship? And also, what advice would you give those whose primary vocation is now in education, but they want to stay active in their field of study?
Okay, sure. Well, let's take the last part of that first, I think. How to stay involved. I found a way to still keep my keep my interest in medieval studies going by involvement in smaller projects, or writing introductions, or organizing panels at conferences, things like that. And so it allows me to still engage my interests in that field while moving my focus to a new primary field of teaching and learning. So I think there are ways to do it that don't require you to write books or even articles still in your home discipline, in order to kind of redirect your focus to what your new passions are. And so the first part of the question then, right. I totally just followed my curiosity on this one, and wound up in the middle of a lot of research from various disciplines that don't often talk to each other. So what I was seeing, to me, seemed like clear connections between what an evolutionary biologist was saying and what a psychologist was saying. And so really saw my job as synthesizing that work so that we could maybe get a clearer picture of the story of learning overall. As I mentioned, it took me a long time. It took me 5 years to write the book because I was learning a lot about how to do that. And I think that connects directly to your question about interdisciplinary work. I find it to be very rewarding and exciting, and there's so much that we can do. The possibilities are truly open for making interdisciplinary connections. The big caveat, though, is that even those disciplines where they're studying similar things, so if you take curiosity, for example, which is a topic well covered in all those different areas: neuroscience, developmental psych, cognitive psych, biology, anthropology. They're all talking about curiosity, and many people devote their entire careers to studying it within those realms. But they use the methods of their discipline, which are not the same as the methods of another discipline, and they're using vocabulary specific to their discipline. And so to really do, I think, effective interdisciplinary work, it's important to learn those things and to find the commonalities. Okay, well, the biologists say this when they're talking about curiosity. The psychologists say this. Here's where I see the commonalities between those two approaches. And so I think it's important to, especially if we're working in groups with colleagues, to learn the same language, so or to learn what the others are doing, the approaches that they take to their discipline, so that we can speak the same language and move forward together, which was really what I saw as part of the purpose of that book.
We had a little bit of a preview on this in one of our previous interviews, but could you tell us more about your upcoming projects, your upcoming book?
Sure, yes. I'm working on I just started a few months ago, so writing a book about grades, and all their many problems. And so this is a book that's not just about higher education. This is a book that's from children, I say from preschool to grad school. And it really looks holistically at the research that we have on how grades impede learning, and that's that's the roadblock that they put up against motivation, to acquiring knowledge, to that they kind of cultivate environments where cheating is seen as a way of advancing within those systems. So it looks at that, but I think really part of what I want to open up in that book is connecting it to the very powerful and very sad recent research on the mental health crisis in preteens and teenagers. And two enormous studies, one from the Pew Research Center and one from the CDC, have shown not just the spike over the last 10 years in anxiety and depression and other mental illnesses, but the specific ties to academic stress, and grades are of course a part of that. So talking a lot about that, also showing how grades reproduce the inequities of society that we're trying to, that we claim to be trying to reduce, and so how grades magnify the opportunity gaps and put some students behind in difficult positions when they haven't been prepared, as well as other students and things like that. So, and then. So talking about both the problems and then some of the solutions, but again, cutting across all educational sectors in America.
Well, best wishes in your research and writing. We look forward to reading it when it comes out.
I appreciate that very much.
Yeah. But Josh, thank you so much for sharing your time, sharing your insights. This has been awesome, just learning more about how humans learn. Thank you everyone for joining us, and take care.
Thank you very much.